going on, everybody? Welcome into the Jets Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we're going to be doing our first ever mailbag here on the channel, which is to be me and you guys chopping it up around the New York Jets. But if you guys want to get featured on a future mailbag, go ask a question down below in the comment section. It can be anything about the New York Jets, the whole NFL. Get creative with these, but if you guys want to be featured on the next mailbag, drop a question down below in the comment section. So first one coming in here from Goat Wilson. What's going on, man? Saying, who do you think is the biggest X factor on the Jets? Now, I think the obvious choice here is Justin Fields, but if you want to get a little more creative, you could go both the offensive tackles, Olu Fashanu, Armand Membu, but I'm going to go Andre Cisco for this one. I think he has a chance to have a massive year in the defense. You know, the Jets will have a really good front seven, should be able to get after the quarterback at a high level, and that could cause him playing the safety position to have, you know, a 5 to 7 interception year. He was a great ball hawk with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and especially with that Jets safety room, it's Andre Cisco and then a bunch of unknowns. Like, do you trust Tony Adams? Do you trust fourth-round pick Malachi Moore? I'm sure the coaching staff doesn't have that trust just yet, but Andre Cisco, he grew up in the New Jersey area, grew up a Jets fan. I could see him having a really massive year. So I would go him as the biggest X factor, obviously besides Justin Fields, but also Olu Fashanu and Armand Membu as well. Rogers Hate Watcher, love that name. Shout out to you. Do you think the Jets' run game will be top 10 this season? Now, that's a huge question mark around the team because obviously they invested that 7th overall pick in the right tackle. You have a really solid of your interior offensive line with Tippmann, Vera Tucker, and Simpson. And with Fashanu and Membu, if they have good seasons, you got a good offensive line. You got 3 good running backs with Allen, Breece Hall, and Isaiah Davis, and just the whole scheme coming from Tanner Engstrad and the Detroit Lions. I would assume they would have a solid run offense this year. And plus, like, with having a dual threat quarterback in Justin Fields, it's huge. Like, you know, look at the Ravens and the Eagles the last couple of seasons. Like, why have they been some of the most successful rushing offenses in the league? Yes, they both have good offensive lines. This past season, having Saquon, Derrick Henry, that obviously helps. But I think having Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, you just keep those edge rushers a little more honest. When you're running those inside zones, you really don't know if they're going to pull it. And I could see the same thing happening for the Jets. But them being top 10, I'm going to say yes. But again, that would be a massive jump. This team was 31st in rushing yards per game this past season. Now, I chalk that up to a lot of just the whole Aaron Rodgers style of offense. So I think they'll be top 10. I honestly think they have a chance to be top 7, top 5 if it all goes well this season for the Jets. But Bayou Bengal coming in with the next one saying, how confident are you in Mason Taylor? Very, very confident. Yeah, I had a first-round grade on him heading into the NFL draft, and you know that's why the debate, should the Jets go like Colson Loveland, Membu, or Tyler Warren at pick number 7, I, at the end of the process, was like, let's just go all in on Membu and then hoping that Mason Taylor falls to at pick 42. That ended up happening, but I think he should have a monster year. Like, you think about the drop-off that the Jets receiving room has from Garrett Wilson to that second receiving option. Like, do you trust Josh Reynolds? Do you trust Allen Lazard? Maybe you have a rookie like Arian Smith step up. But I think big-time third-down situations, Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor, whoever it is, they're going to be looking Mason Taylor's way. He is a freak with the ball in his hands. He is super, super just bendy when he's cutting off these routes. And if you put a linebacker on him, he's going to be too slow. You put a nickel corner on him, he's going to be too small. I just think he will cause matchup nightmares for defenses. And, you know, especially if the Jets are running that RPO game a lot. Like, if he pulls that out, it could just be a quick pass to Mason Taylor in the flat. He takes a 3-yard completion, makes a dude miss, and he could potentially get up to 10, 15 yards on any given play. I'm very, very high on this guy. Obviously, his dad playing for the Jets is, it's just a really cool story there. So, very confident in Mason Taylor. I would be shocked if he ends up, not working out for this football team. But sauced up, coming with another next question here, saying, what is your biggest concern about the team? It's got to be the quarterback position, right? I mean, it's just got to be Justin Fields. Like, can he improve from winning in the pocket? Because we know he's a great athlete. We know he's a very dynamic athlete. But can he consistently convert on those 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 situations where he may need to hang in the pocket? Now, we know Fields likes to hold on to the ball a little too long. Could that become an issue? 110%. But if it's not Fields, I would probably say the Jets' rush defense. You got great linebackers. I think Quincy Williams and Jamian Sherwood are one of the best duos you have in the National Football League. And you got Quinn and Williams. But your edge rushers, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, aren't the best against the run. And plus that second defensive tackle position, like Derek Nottie, are you putting a lot of faith in him to be that guy? So I think, obviously Fields is a massive concern, but then also just the Jets' rush defense. But if they are a good running defense, you can make an argument this unit will be a top 10 unit in the National Football League. Because if you can stop the run, you got those pass rushers, pin their ears back and just get home to the quarterback. You got a solid secondary with Sauce back there. So, probably go Justin Fields in that rushing defense for my biggest concern. But I'll toss that question your guys' way. What are you worried about? What is your biggest concern about this Jets team? Not really too concerned about the coaching staff either. Maybe that second receiving option, but you guys get creative for me. What is your biggest concern about the New York Jets? So Darren Muji's burner coming in here saying, do you agree with the Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson extensions? I do. Now, obviously, some people think these are overpays for a guy like Sauce, becoming the highest paid cornerback in NFL history, but that's just the going rate right now. Like Sauce Gardner is a true blue chipper, and I think both those guys, they're the faces of the franchise. Since you don't have that star quarterback, you don't have that star head coach, like you will see a lot of number 1 and number 5 jerseys in MetLife, for the next 5 seasons, but you got both of them locked up for the next 6 years, which I think is massive for this team. And, it's always going to be an iron sharpens iron situation at practice. Like I remember from training camp number 1, both of these guys' rookie seasons, like we saw them just battling back and forth. And I'm sure when they get to game day, it's going to feel a lot easier than practice, because in practice for Sauce, you're going against Garrett Wilson. There's probably only a handful of receivers that, are better than him in the league. And the same thing with, Wilson going against Sauce. Like it's probably only Derek Stingley, Pat Surtain that could give him a better look than Sauce could give. But I think both these guys, and specifically Sauce, like if the Jets want to meet that, expectation of getting that 7 seed in the AFC, which is their goal. They have made that crystal clear. They want to try to make the playoffs this season for the first time since 2011. It's going to come down to Sauce. Can he be the top cornerback in the league? Can even a guy like Quinnen Williams, can he become the best interior defensive lineman in the league? Can Garrett Wilson take that next step, where I think right now he's around the 7th to 10th best wideout? Can he crack the top 10? Can he be that next group of names behind Jefferson and Chase? And he's just slotted in there with like CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, and obviously Garrett Wilson there. But I agree with him. I honestly think those contracts and, maybe not next offseason, but 2 off seasons from now, we're like, man, we got both those guys on the steal. Because you take the Vikings, for example, and even the Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee getting 34 a year, that kind of looks like a bargain after Jamar Chase getting, $40 million per year. And then the next receiver will come up. He'll probably top that. So I agree with both these moves. I thought it was a good decision by Muji and this new regime here in New York. Quinnen Enjoyer. What's going on, Quinnen Williams? What are your thoughts on the AFC East? I'm actually pretty down on the AFC East as a whole. Obviously the Bills, they're in a class of their own in that division. They should be the heavy favorite, and they are for a reason. But the Dolphins, a lot of question marks there. I think they're one of the more irrelevant teams in the National Football League. And then the Patriots, I know they're getting a lot of offseason hype. Like they got that young quarterback. I think Drake May is a special talent, but their offensive line still stinks. And their weapons still stink. And I understand Josh McDaniels being a better offensive coordinator than what they had this past season. But is that enough? Like, listen, I wouldn't be shocked if we look up at the end of the year and it's like, oh, the Jets are the second best team in the AFC East. Just because I think the overall talent on, compared to the Dolphins and the Patriots, just the 53-man, take out the quarterback position, the Jets by far have a better roster than both those teams. So if Fields can just meet the level of a Tua, of a Drake May, which is obviously a lofty goal, but if he can do that, this team should be second in the AFC East. But overall, I think the division might be one of the worst ones in the National Football League, but we'll wait and see how it plays out. Again, the NFL changes every single year. Like, let's just say Drake May pops and he looks like a top 10 guy. Dolphins get back to who they were. Fields pops. Like, anything can really happen, but not too high on the division as a whole. Hell of a name here. Shout out to Zach Kuntz. Dumb Kuntz coming in saying, any chance the Jets make the playoffs? I think it's still unlikely, but there is a chance. Now, the AFC as a whole is stacked. You obviously got the top dogs, like the Chiefs will be there, the Bills will be there, the Ravens will be there. You can just lock those 3 in to make the playoffs every single year as long as Mahomes, Allen, and Lamar are at the helm of those 3 teams. But then even the wild card teams, like the Bengals, the Chargers, the Broncos, like you're going to have to beat one of those teams out. And you can chalk up the Texans being in the playoffs too with how bad the AFC South is. But then those last 3 spots, it's going to be Cincinnati, the Chargers, Denver. They'll probably end up getting it. But if the Jets could just maybe jump a Denver Broncos, who I do think the Broncos are one of the more overrated teams in the league, you go look at what the teams they beat, and specifically the quarterbacks they beat this past season, there isn't one good one. Like, literally, go back and look at it. They were 5-5 at a point, and then they went on that little run, but they just played a lot of bad teams. So I'm not fully bought into Denver. I think that defense will be very good, and that offense will obviously have a high ceiling with Sean Payton calling the shots. But making the playoffs, I'll probably give the Jets a 5 to 10% chance. Maybe that's a little low, but again, I think this year, like if the Jets just go 8-9, 9-8, reset the culture, even if they don't miss the playoffs or don't make the playoffs, still would be a successful season year 1 under Aaron Glenn. But next question coming in here from Depressed Jets fan. I feel you on that, saying, give me one bold prediction you have for the Jets. I'm going to stick with my guy, Mason Taylor here. I think he's going to go for 800 plus yards this upcoming season. Again, I am a massive fan of this guy. I think he is one of the better athletes at the tight end position. And also, tight ends lately in the NFL, they've been hitting at an all-time rate. Because if you guys remember, like probably 4 or 5 years ago when we talked about the tight end position, we were always saying it's going to take them a couple of years because they got to understand the blocking department and the receiving department. But lately, guys like Laporta, Brock Bowers this past year, like Brock Bowers is already the best tight end in the NFL, and he's entering year 2. Laporta's a stud. Tucker Kraft is a stud. Even in the AFC East, Dalton Kincaid, that's a hell of a receiving option at the spot. So I think these tight ends are coming out and they're hitting at an all-time rate. And I see all 3 of the top tight ends in this year's draft, Warren, Loveland, and Mason Taylor. I think they're all going to be studs. I think they'll all work out. And we could be talking about all 3 of those guys being top 10 tight ends next season. The tight end position in the NFL, it's getting younger. We're seeing guys like Kelsey, Kittle, they're on their way out, and these younger cats are coming in and really starting to make an impact. So I'll go Mason Taylor has 800-plus yards this season for the New York Jets. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, I appreciate all of you guys watching this mailbag. Again, if you want to be featured on a future mailbag, just drop a question down below in the comments section. But also, if you watch this entire video, hit me with a Go Jets down below as well. And also, hit that subscribe button on your way out if you guys like what we're doing here on the YouTube show. Really do appreciate all the support as of late. Help us reach 8,000 subs here on YouTube, and we'll see you guys next time. As always, Go Jets.